Color and Confidence. I am your host, Amber Rose West, and today I'm going to be interviewing April Jefferson. She goes by AJ, so you'll hear us refer to her as AJ within the episode. But I have been looking forward to this interview for a long time. I've been following AJ on social media for a couple years now, and I just love everything that she stands for, which is creating an authentic self, figuring out who your authentic self is, and being able to show up as that person unapologetically, whether it's in real life, on social media. Her social media is just truth bombs all the way around. I know if you follow me on social media, you've seen me share her posts. It's all about developing self-confidence. It's all about creating who you want to be, creating boundaries around who you are, not allowing friends or family to stop you from being who you are or following your dreams. And everything that she has to share inside this episode is so amazing. We talk a lot about how it is that we can support each other as women of color in our endeavors to learning who we really are and sharing our authentic selves with other people, whether it be offline or online. And she wrote a book. Oh my gosh, what an inspiration. She wrote a book. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. So super excited to get to today's chat. Join me now while I interview Kate. Well, I'm super excited to have you on the show. I've been following you on social media for a while now, and I have felt this like magnetic, energetic uptick in your posts that have just every single time I see a post, I'm like, share. Every single time I see a post, I'm like, preach. Like, I just love everything that you're posting out there. And, you know, having a show called Women of Color and Confidence, I just knew that you were going to be one of the perfect people to have on the show. So really grateful to have you with us. And I would love for you to just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, how you became the magnificent, confident woman that you are today.
Oh, well, that's definitely been a journey. So I am originally I'm April Jefferson. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, born and raised. I relocated to Virginia about 6 years ago. I am a mother of four. I am a recent getting divorced. So that's another part of my journey. I'm an author, writer, and I'm just, I'm a woman's woman. I'm a girl's girl, and I definitely am rooting for women, especially women of color. I've been through a very a journey that has so many ups and downs and ins and outs, and I know that a lot of women can identify with what I go through too. So I know we identify with each other. So it's just like, I'm definitely rooting for, women of color. And so that's just me in a nutshell. I have a lot a lot of experience in a lot of different things. I'm always, I'm open to learn. I love to learn. I love to have different experiences. I love to meet new people, experience different cultures, travel, things like that. So I'm always kind of moving. I like to move.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, thank you for telling us about yourself. When I was reading a little bit more about you, we tend to see people on social media and you get the snippets and you're like, I love this. And then when you learn a little bit more about them, you're like, I love them a little bit more. So thank you for that.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to talk to you a little bit, this concept of taking our power back from, the different stereotypes that tend to follow us around and how we're viewed through the media and in society. What point in your life do you feel like you realized that there was something to take back?
Um, I would say that I officially realized it maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
Mhm.
I would say that's when I really dive deep into the journey of trying to learn myself, love myself,
Mhm.
and really block out everything else that was, you know, hindering me, bogging me down. I think of course, as Black women, as from young girls, we're taught to nurture other people, to pour into others. We never really have the guidance and the knowledge or sometimes the access to be able to learn about ourselves. And that's from, skincare to hair care to, puberty, going through puberty. Some of us don't even have those conversations with, our guardians or our parents. Um, and so you go through life just, I found myself going through life on autopilot, essentially just like, okay, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to do, and it's always been for other people, never really for myself.
Yeah.
So about 7 years ago, um, I went through a very tumultuous time where I just felt so I felt like I always wanted to do things for myself. I had these goals but I just never could do them. Like it was just always something. Always something. And a lot of times it wasn't even anything that had to do with me. It was family, it was friends, it was community. I poured myself into my community. I did activism, I had a radio show, I was doing, all this stuff. And it was just like, but I want to lose weight. I want to, take care of me. I want to look good. I want to feel good. Um, and I actually ended up being hospitalized because I got really, really sick, to the point where, like I had blood in my stools. I was just passing blood and I was just really sick. And so I went to the hospital and I was in the hospital for about like 2 weeks. Um, and it was like, I was very down on myself because I'm like, like you let yourself get to this point, you do so much for everyone else. Like, why is it so hard to stick to what you want to do for you? And I went through that, I went through a lot of reflection. And once I got out the hospital, I actually got diagnosed with Crohn's. And
Mhm.
so that was like a light bulb that went off in my head. It was like, wait a minute, you have to take care of yourself. Like it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have been feeling sick for a while. This slowed you down. So let's come back and revisit. So when I got out the hospital, I was like, you know what? I've been saying I want to lose weight. I'm gonna do it. Like
Yeah.
nothing is holding me back but me. Like
Yeah.
like there's nothing else. Nobody is holding a gun up to my head, nothing. So I'm gonna do it. So I decided to do a 30-day raw fast where I nothing but fruits, vegetables, and I stuck to it. I was so proud of myself. I was like, girl, you can do it, and it's just constant, just reassurance to yourself. Like just as you are able to reassure yourself that if somebody needs me, I'm going to be there for them. If they need, you can do the same. Yourself needs you. So you have
Yeah.
to be there for you, so I blocked all that out, and I'm just like, I'm just going to focus on me. I'm just going to focus on me. And so I did that for 30 days and I lost like 20 pounds. And I was like,
I bet you did.
That was that motivation. I was like, wait a minute, I did it. So after that, it was like, I gotta keep going, I'm in a groove. So, I started exercising because I hadn't been to, you go to the gym spurts here and there saying that you're gonna do it and you're gonna get active. And I was just like, no, like now that I done lost 20 pounds, I want to keep this 20 pounds off and I want to lose more. So let me go to the gym. And I started going to the gym every day. I didn't make no excuses. I went every day and I ended up losing 85 pounds.
Wow.
And myself, just gym and diet. And so that's when I took my power back because I did this.
Yes.
I didn't need nobody, no trainers, nobody to give me nutrition, nobody to do X, Y, and Z. I did it by myself. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm a bad, I don't know if I can on here.
You can, it's all right.
I'm a bad bitch. You know what I'm saying? I did this myself. And people, and then I was really big in the community. So a lot of women were like, I had started Black Business Women in St. Louis. So I had a lot of women that I was connected to, and I was doing different things I was holding different events and trying to help them and support them in their business, but also mentally, because I know even running a business alongside of family, all the other things that we go through as Black women, like you have to have your mental together. So they were reaching out like, how did you lose weight? How did you lose? I'm like, girl, look, we exercise, diet. I'm taking my power back. It's me. It's all me. And you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Flat out. Like I know that I was the biggest procrastinator. I've been saying I'm gonna lose weight for 20 years and never did it, but I actually did it. And so I just, just want to just started encouraging a lot of women just like to, take your power back. This is your health is the most important thing. Like if you are not able, we think about Black women, our kids, our future. That's how we move. We're always thinking about, how we're setting ourselves up, our future. And that's why we have our hands in so many things, because we have these dreams. We have big dreams. We have, like you said, that Black girl magic is powerful. We have such big dreams and such big hopes, and not just for ourselves, for our communities, for our children, for our children, for the children in our communities, for other Black women, other moms. Like we do so much for other people, but we have to understand that if we're tapped out, we can't do none of that.
Right.
So that was my most important lesson, and that's the biggest thing that I try to get women to understand. Like your health is vital, and we really have to take care of that.
I love it. And I love that you really brought up a good point in that it all starts with you and inside of you. And one of the things that, when we talk about, images and social media and society and things, I believe that Black women, we have such an aesthetic that, people tend to just look on what's on the outside. And so we tend in general to just do work on what's on the outside. And then we forget sometimes that we also need to be working with what's on the inside. And if you ignore what's on the inside, for example, what you put in your body, your food, whether you're drinking enough water, how you're getting your exercise, whether or not you're taking time to take care of your mental health, whatever those activities look like to you, that if you don't do those things, it doesn't matter how good you look on the outside, because your inside will tell you what's up, and you will get sick and you will be hurt. And then you'll have to take those pauses, and then you ain't going to be looking so cute on the outside, right? It's so important to make time for those things that cultivate a strong inner landscape. And that includes, like eating and exercising and doing whatever mental health it is that benefits you. And what inspires me so much about your story is how much you made decisions, your choices, right? You made a decision and you continue to make choices that you knew were going to benefit you in the long run. And I know that can be a very difficult place for women to start, because they feel like, I don't have a choice because I have to take care of my family, or I have to do good at my job, or I have to get a promotion, or I have to be doing this and that. I don't have any choices. I need to just stick with what I have right now. But the truth of the matter is that you do have a choice, and that you can make decisions, and that sometimes you have to empower yourself to make those choices and those decisions, because there are people around you that when they get into this mode where they're always relying on you, they need you all the time, all this stuff, and you don't set those boundaries, and then you're like, oh, I don't have any choices. Well, like, yes, you do. So now you got to make them. But the hard part is making the boundaries for the people that are constantly relying on you. But it's possible.
It's definitely possible.
Yes. Yeah.
My client tells me all the time, you are so good with boundaries. I know. Like, I had to learn though, because I wasn't for so long. I was shitty on my boundaries. I was, it was okay.
I believe that it's not really taught in a lot of Black families. I know that my Black family members, I have very strong boundaries too. And whenever I put them up, they're just like,
oh, it's no, they don't like it. They don't like
sorry,
it.
but
yeah. And I've had that. It's crazy because I'm in therapy, and I do believe everybody needs to be in therapy. But I was just talking to my therapist about this, how proud I was of myself for continuing to have my boundaries since I've been at home. I've been at home for the summer.
Yeah.
I came back home for the summer, and I'm staying at my mom's. And our relationship is still a work in progress in some areas, which the boundary area is one of them, because as her only daughter and her oldest, I couldn't have boundaries growing up. That was not a thing, because you're my partner. in this household. So whatever I need for you to do, you need to do, or it's going to be a problem. And as a child, you can't speak up. And if you do, if someone makes you feel a certain way, like, makes you feel guilty for, not wanting to do this for the family, then that sticks with you. And that stuck with me for a very long time, even into adulthood. Like when I had my children, I still was going back and forth, being stretched thin within my household and my mom's household, because my brothers were still, teenager and growing up. So I still had, she felt like I still had responsibilities to them. And for so long I did too. But now as an adult, it's like I have my own household. I have, my own responsibilities, and I'm still healing. I'm still growing. I'm in therapy. I have things, and I'm learning that I don't have the bandwidth for everything. I can't. I literally can't. And I feel okay saying that now, because it's if I get too bogged down, I can't do what I need to do to be successful, to be, to feel good, to be able to do the things that I want to do. So, I had a moment where I was just like, I've been here, and I kind of was like feeling a little guilty about like not doing certain things. And then all of a sudden the conversation came up. It was a little heated, but I had to say, like, she was like, family does this for that's the favorite excuse, the favorite phrase, family does this for family. I said, I'm tired of hearing that shit. Like, that's exactly what I said, because I was just, you just get to the point where it's just like, I'm not gonna let that phrase, that one little phrase, and that one little ideology that you all have bog me down and make me feel guilty and make me feel like I'm doing something wrong, when I know I'm not doing anything wrong, but it's just exerting my boundaries and keeping myself safe. That's the biggest thing for me, and that's most important for me right now, is keeping myself safe. There are so many things that we can do, just like I see women always say, I can't self-care, I can't get away. It's so many ways to have self-care.
Right.
Journaling.
That's a real thing. And I think that we don't talk about that enough, because all of us are such individual women. And, I talk about this with, with confidence. Confidence is different for everybody. So when people are trying to, I see other coaches and teachers who are attempting to teach this like broad idea of how to have confidence, what to do. I'm like, oh no, like every woman needs to define for themselves what their self-confidence is, and then apply the appropriate activities. Same thing with self-care. You need to figure out what actually makes you feel good first. Exactly. And then you apply the appropriate activities. Me personally, I know mani-pedis is like a big self-care thing for women. I don't like that. I don't need people touching my hand and my feet, taking care. I clip my own nails, I pick my own colors, I do the whole thing. But I know it's such a big self-care thing for other people, not for me. I would, it feels like self-care when I do it for myself or something like that. But you got to figure out what it is that makes you feel good. And I think that is where women have a hard time. It's not like, I don't have time to do the self-care part. It's like, I think actually you haven't made the time to figure out what types of self-care will actually benefit you. Exactly. And that's an absolute necessity. And we're not taught, as Black women, we are not taught how to do that, because we are always like taking care of this, taking care of that. You brought up a really good point about family too. Family does this for each other. And I always had a really hard time with that growing up in my own family, like this idea of obligation or expectation, when I felt like I wasn't being treated well. And it's like, you people are the closest people to me. And why is it? And this happens, I've heard this hand over fist in so many different family stories, that your family's supposed to be the closest to you, that loves you the most, that gives you the most, that understands you the most, that allows you to have space for self-care and sleep and rest and feeds and wants to feed you. But somehow this idea of family got flipped into, well, you owe me. Yes. And I do this for you, and now you're going to do it for me. Oh, and I'm family, so I can make these jokes about your body, or I can make these jokes about the way you look, or I'm your don't take, I'm your mom or your dad. And I'm just like, but you people are supposed to be the ones to keep me safe and love me and support me and do this. And you're doing the exact opposite. And now you're upset with me because I'm like, you know what? Cool. I don't want to be here anymore.
Right. because we are, as a people, we have grown, first I try to be understanding because I know, growing up,
they're a different generation too.
yeah, the generations before us, they grew up with a lot of struggle. They grew up with a lot of, um, rigor, with a lot of, just feeling, they also felt unsupported by their families. And,
Yeah.
I stories, a lot of stories of, the girls who, I had to take care of my sisters and brothers, my mama didn't do this, my mom. So in a sense, to them, it makes sense that that this is how they raise their families, this is all they know. And that's why I said I'm a strong advocate for therapy, because just because you struggle doesn't mean you should be wanting to see somebody else struggle. I feel like that is the most backwards thing to me, because if you struggled and you know how you felt, you should not want anyone to feel like that. And that's how I feel. I'm like, I don't want no. That's why I'm such, I want to be an inspiration and motivation to people, because I know how it feels to be at your lowest, and I know how it feels to not have support. So I don't want anybody around me feeling like that. That's just the worst feeling in the world. But when it comes to family, it's like, first of all, they have this, okay, we're family, so we're linked. So it don't matter what I do to you, you still my family, you still, but yeah, I'm still gonna be your blood. Doesn't mean I have to have a relationship with you. Just, like,
or to take your abuse, because that's what it is.
Exactly. It's really abuse, and they don't see it like that. They just see it as, this is how family, this is how I grew up. This is what happened to me. These are the things that I've been through. And it's like, I get it. I understand that.
We are in a new day and age.
When are we gonna switch it up? Because I know you didn't like how that felt.
I want to step back for a second, because what I really love is that you were talking about, how we're moving, we're not passing along the struggle. I literally was just writing a whole episode for this show about how Black women now, like our generation, are refusing to pass the struggle down to the next generation, to our kids and all of that. It's that we recognize, and you said exactly what I wrote, which is that we know how that, or like they knew how it felt. I've known how it felt. And like, I don't have kids of my own, but I have nieces and nephews. And it's definitely like, I'm not passing it down to them just because I had it. And I am seeing it within our community. I believe the BIPOC community as a whole, and especially among identifying women, that we are refusing to take that struggle, turn it around and pass it. And that we are going to be the generation that changes that. Not just, within society, but within our own families, within our own social groups, within our own communities, that this idea, like, it's always been this way, or this is how I was raised, or this is what I had to do, so you have to do it too. And it's just like,
it's baloney.
Why?
It's baloney. Like, why?
Okay, so one of the things that I love about following you on social media is how honest you are. And, it's one of those things where I feel like there are a lot of honest, like, I think there are people who are like honest for like shock value, or like, I'm gonna be blunt to be like, oh, I can't believe you said that. But when I read your posts, I'm like, these are truth bombs that are coming down. And every time I read one, I'm constantly sharing. So I wanted to know, at what point in this journey where like you had this whole, looking inside of yourself, really wanting to take care of your health, building a healthier inner landscape and a healthier mindset, so that you could come out and, present yourself and express yourself in this very authentic way to the world. And you said that was about 7 or 8 years ago. And then when you took it online, I would love to know what that journey was like, because I feel like probably very similar to me is that I got online, I was like, I don't really know what this social media thing is. Oh, I can use it for business. And then you start seeing all these posts of like the highlight reel and the Photoshop and like all this stuff. And then kind of got to the point where you were like, none of this is real. And now I'm about to hammer it down with some realness. So what was that experience and that journey like for you?
I really started getting back active in the last, year and a half or so. So, because I'm at a point in my journey where I feel like I am the most powerful I've ever been.
Yeah.
I've dropped so many things that I was fearful to drop. We get in. I was so fearful of change. And most women are. We're fearful of change, and not just, and I write about this in my book too, not just about change of our environment and the people around us, but our changes inside. How does it feel to be someone else? How does it feel? How can I tell them no? Like you start questioning all of these things, and how these people, especially the people closest to you, like you said, family and friends, how they're going to view you once you put up your boundaries and start to speak up for yourself. It's so hard. And you go through that, you battle with that for a while.
And I will say that this is the biggest chunk of all of my confidence coaching with every single client I have is, one, how to keep doing the work that you're doing when friends and family and other people are like, oh, who do you think you are setting boundaries?
Right.
Who do you think you are talking back to me, standing up for yourself? Who do you think you are saying, no, you're not going to come do this with me because you want to spend some time, going to the park and taking a walk, or, spending some time reading a book, and then the second part of it is like, how do I say this? How do I actually say it? Because we were not taught to speak. We're taught to talk back, to speak back, or to say anything other than yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, okay, you got it. And like, we spend so much time on those two things. That's why I focus so heavily on communication skills, because we were not taught that. And now we're adults and we want to set up boundaries. We want to follow our dreams. And then people are poking at us like, no, you stay over here. You do this. This is how I've always known you. And I don't want you to change.
Want you to change, right?
That's what I want you to say the same.
Because they don't want you to change, because once you put those boundaries up, it affects them. You have to understand that they're making themselves a priority in your journey. So this is why I say it's so important for women to understand that you are the priority, because everybody else makes themselves a priority in your journey and not yourself. So
we're looking for that main character energy. I'm the main character in my life right now.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not sorry.
But also I want to touch on the communication piece, because let's be real. You don't have to communicate with anybody that you don't want to. And people get so, I made a status like this a while ago. People were so upset. And I'm like, but it's real though. Like, we have to really get out of this mind frame of
obligation.
We can't make other people feel bad. We don't want to, because when it comes to you, like I said, they're going to make themselves a priority. And so you can't be operating off how other people are feeling. That's not part of your journey. You have,
especially if you're ignoring how you feel.
Exactly.
If you're ignoring how you feel because you're so worried about how everybody else feels. Right.
It's never going to work in your favor. That's never going to work in your favor.
That's a life of misery. Honestly, let's just be honest. It's an unfulfilled experience where you're gonna look back on it sometime and be like, damn, I was taking care of all these people's feelings. No one's taking care of me. And it tends to spiral into something like, I feel unloved. I feel unworthy. I feel all these things. And it's like, I think, and it goes back to where you started, which is that you have the authority and permission in your own life to make the choice to say, at some point, I got to make myself a priority right now. And to
another thing that women, we have a hard time with sitting with ourselves. That's the thing. You don't want to, this is the thing. It's two things that I really, really am big on. One, you don't want to isolate yourself. I'm going to say this. Don't isolate yourself. You need to lean on the people that you actually know are aligned with you and are going to pour into you and are going to reciprocate.
Even if they're just online besties.
Yes. I'm telling you, that's the power of social media. People, I'm gonna tell you right now, people get so mad at me because I be like, look, y'all don't tell people what they need to do online. First of all, you are not, who the hell made you the police of this whole internet? Nobody. So if this is the only place where people feel safe, then that's let them have it. And if you're not going to be positive and an inspiration or motivational to them, then you just need to shut up, sit back and shut up, or scroll past. It's not that deep.
And people be mad at me when I be deleting them left and right. I'm like, oh, you didn't see this? I'm all about vibrancy and energy and positivity and motivation. And your shit is all over the place. And you're a drag. You bring me down. Every one of your posts makes me feel bad about myself, or it makes me feel bad about the world. And I'm sorry. We could have been friends for 10 years and like, hey, you have my phone number. Text me if you want to talk. But I don't need that in my social media feed every time I open my phone. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not sorry again.
It's really real. And you want to surround yourself with good people, whether it's online, whether it's going to a group, find people that are aligned with you. But also you need to detach yourself from the people that are draining you.
It is so hard for people, especially Black women, because they feel that sense of obligation that's been ingrained in us our entire life.
And we don't want to be alone. We don't, we want to, at that point, you kind of want to feel, like you're so used to being needed. You're so used to people, reaching out and this and that's what is embedded in you.
But we also have to remember that as much as like this idea of dependency has been ingrained in us, so has the concept of sisterhood. And why is it that we're leaning so hard into like, I'm so needed and people depend on me and I can't take care of myself, instead of being like, but also sisterhood was a part of everything that I knew growing up too. So it's like, are we leaning into what's comfortable or known because, sisterhood and creating new connections and being vulnerable seems really scary. And so we're leaning too far over here. Because I don't, it's support is 100% absolutely vital. And I will honestly, being an online entrepreneur and spending as much time on social media as I have has actually saved my mental and emotional space many times, because I find that it helps me reach other women who are like me and who want to be doing things that I want to do. And, we're going to talk to Bianca here in a couple episodes, but, her whole thing is that her company is Healthy, Big, and Black. And she's like, there's this huge stigma in Black families about being healthy, about eating salad and eating healthy food. And I said, oh, you eating another salad today? And it's like, yes, why am I being made fun of in my own family? And then you go online and you see this whole group of people who are wanting to do it, community. And, I think that it's really what I love about your messaging online. Well, one is obviously this like utmost sparkly, vibrant confidence, but also this idea that you get to choose who you want to be, how you're going to be it, what it is you're going to say, and that you need to surround yourself with people who go, fuck yes, instead of people who go, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? All this
you
stuff.
have the power to control who is around you. If those people aren't on the same wavelength, if they aren't aligned with what you want to do, and I'm a big firm believer in you may say, okay, this person may need you. Okay, that's fine. Like you said, you got my number. If you need me, then that's, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But at the same token, I don't have to be around you every day. I don't have to see your page every day. I don't have to, talk to you every day. Because that's not going to be healthy for me. It's only going to make you feel like, why is this person questioning me? Why, and
then you question yourself, and nobody has time for that. We got dreams to be fulfilling out here.
Your energy should be put into something else. That it does not have to be put into that. I'm a firm believer of like what you put your energy into is what is gonna come out. That's the output that you're gonna have. So you putting energy into people who don't pour into you, don't reciprocate. That's how you're gonna feel. That's the output you're gonna have. If you're putting energy into the people that are aligned with you, that want to see you grow, that support you, then that's how you're going to feel. That's the output that you're going to have. And so it's so important that we learn that, and we learn that we don't have to be bound to nobody, moms, dads, sisters, uncles. You don't have to be bound to anybody. This is your life. And at the end of the life, at the end of your life, if you can sit and say, I did the things that no regrets. Like no regrets. We don't want to live in regret. We want to live in, we want to live. How about that? We just want to live, live life, not just exist.
I love it. I do know. And as someone who has separated from many of my family members for these exact same reasons, don't get me wrong, I know the journey and I know that it can be hard, but one of the things that I try to tell people is that on the other side, when you do it and you feel the sense of like peace,
Mm-hmm.
it's such a different thing.
Now you can keep it.
Keep
Like
it, keep it.
I
Well,
won't let you
I wanna talk about your book. I want to talk
yeah,
about your book because I didn't know you had written a book
yeah, I'll
until I
talk about
started
it
doing a
tonight.
little research on you for this show.
Mhm.
And I want to read one of the reviews that I found because it speaks a lot to what we're talking about today. But it just, as I was reading these words, I was like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." So the review says, April pours her heart and soul into writing this book. She speaks on cultural issues we as Black women have faced and endured. This book helped me to realize I'm allowed to be who I am without conforming to expectations placed by others and society. I highly recommend this book to anybody searching for their inner voice and peace. The book is called Allowed to Be Me.
Mhm.
And I would love to hear the story behind the creation of this book, who you were intending to read it, and how, I mean, being an author, I feel like is a life-changing event. So how has it helped shape, the development of your story as you continue to share with people online?
So the journey of the book, honestly, it was probably I wrote that book probably after one of the lowest points in my life. I took a lot of sleeping pills because I'm not, just like every black I was just tired. I was just tired. I did that in a literal sense. Like I'm tired. I just want to. I literally said this as I was taking pills. I just want to rest. I just want to
Mhm.
rest. I didn't necessarily want to kill myself,
Mhm.
but I was just so tired of everything that I was going through, everything. And so I talk about it in my book how when I went to the hospital, I'm a firm believer of everything happens for a reason. Because when you are connected to a higher power, you do understand and you do start looking at the signs and things that are being placed in front of you and how that applies to your life. And I was in the hospital and there were three black women that took care of me.
Mhm.
Three black women. And when I
Mhm.
say them women poured into me, like it was, I cried so much in that hospital. And when I woke up, the first one was like, "You are so pretty. Your skin is just," he was like, and I was like, "Who are you?" Like, like I'm like, because I was out for a couple of days. I took that many pills to where I was out for a couple of days, and so but coming in and out, I can hear kind of like the conversations of them kind of like talking about me and some of the things that I was doing because I had Black business women in St. Louis. Like everybody thought that I was just so and this is another thing that Black women deal with. Everybody feels like you have it together. You have it. You
Yeah.
got it. You strong. You gonna make it. You got this. And I was doing so much that nobody really knew, mentally, like what I was going through and how tired I was and how fed up I was with, just like I said, the health issues,
Yeah.
my marriage, my children. My children had health issues. So I was just going through so many things. Um, but once I woke up, the first girl, she just kept raving on how pretty I was and woo woo woo. Then the second girl, she was like, she actually knew me from the radio show, and like her people had owned the place and like they were part of that. And she was like, I know. And then that was just, and she was like,
Yeah.
you're so she was like, my husband, he was telling them about a lot of the things I was doing in the community. She was like, he was telling me you are like amazing. Like, I can't believe you're in here. And whoop, whoop, whoop. So that was the second. And then the third woman, oh, girl, when she told me her story,
Yeah.
oh, I couldn't do nothing but be like, girl, why the hell is you in here? Why are you in here? Oh, she had just gotten like a very like a near fatal car accident. Like you can see, she still had the scars. And she was like, I'm here against my doctor's advisory because I got 7 kids. I gotta take it. Like and she made me, when I say I was crying, me and her were just like crying and talking all night because I had to have somebody sit with me because I was on suicide watch. So she was
Mhm.
one of the ones that was sitting with me. And
Mhm.
she just like, we talked all night, we cried all night. And she was like, you are amazing. She was just telling, like, she was like, if I see you in this predicament again, I'm gonna be on you. She was like, because you have so much. And I was like, these women don't know me from a can of paint.
Yeah.
And they literally, for those days I was in the hospital, poured into me, made sure I ate, made sure I, just like, it was just when I say I will never forget that experience, that was the turning point in my life where I realized that Black women are we the shit.
Yes.
And
when we show up for each other, that energy that like,
girl, I'm like, we have the power to uplift anybody, to pour into anybody, despite our struggles. We gonna make sure that the people around us are good. Yeah. And so that, but also I realized, like, I've been sleeping on myself, like I
literally and figuratively.
I played so small. I was playing so small for so long. All this stuff I was doing, and it was never big to me, because for me, and I think a lot of us think like this, I wanted more. I knew I was able to do more, but I wanted it. You have this you're impatient. Like, I know that this is where I'm supposed to be. So I ain't even worried about this little stuff, even though it wasn't small. What I was doing was nowhere near small, because I was, holding events where, Wesley, the first Black prosecutor came on, he interviewed me on his radio show.
Yeah.
So I wasn't doing nothing small, but I felt like it was, I felt like this ain't big enough. So I'm not going to hype it up. This ain't big enough. And for them to hype me up and be like, girl, no, this is huge. Like, what are you talking about? That was like a real big turning point in my life. And I talk about that in my book. And so when I wrote my book, though, this was like after I had lost my weight. I had been in the hospital for that. And I was just like, I was in the journey of like taking my power back.
Yeah.
Of not listening to other people, setting my boundaries. One chapter in my book is called Fuck Your Expectations. That's the chapter, and that's the shirts I had. I had shirts, and that's just how I live my life. Because there are so many expectations placed on Black women, so many stereotypes. These things we should be doing. Everybody has what we should be doing, what we should be, how we should be acting.
What about what you should be doing? What about what you're doing right now that you shouldn't be doing?
Focus on you. And so we focus so much on these things, and we try to apply them in our lives, and we try to be, we try to take things with grace. We want to take care of everybody. We can't be angry. The angry Black woman said, we can't be angry. We can't be this. And if we do speak up about something, we're bitter, and it's just all type of bullshit that we have.
A lot of judgment that comes down on us because people have been allowed to have an opinion about Black women
without us being able to say anything, without us being able to speak up and just stand on what we say, without us saying something, and then somebody be like, you angry Black woman, be like, well, no, I didn't mean it. You damn right I'm angry. I got 1,001 fucking reasons to be angry.
Yes, exactly.
That's why I said, back then I didn't want that stereotype, but now it's like, I don't give a fuck. If you see me as an angry Black woman, that's how you see me.
Yeah.
But there are millions of women out here who see me as a woman who is speaking her mind, who is standing on what she's saying, and not gonna let nobody move me. Nobody. I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
So
and then the more that we do it, the more they have to say, because they think if we continue talking, then they're allowed to say something back to us. And one of the things that I try to teach as much as I can, especially to BIPOC women and women of color, is just like learning how to stand up for yourself with your words. It's one thing, we do have those stereotypes that follow us around, and it gets to be to a point where our power is in still being able to communicate for ourselves, stand up for ourselves, advocate for ourselves without like tapping into those stereotypes. And it's absolutely possible. Yeah. But it's just that there's so many women who still to this day do not want to speak up, because it's like, I would rather not be a stereotype than stand up for myself. So I'm going to continue to play small. And one of the things that I love about you is that you're no longer willing to do that, but not just for yourself. And, I can't believe you did it again. One of the episodes for this show is about how when Black women are empowered and confident, everyone around them is empowered and confident in a different way than other women, like Black women specifically. And that's because we're not going to let the deserving stay where they are when we know that they need to be coming along on the journey. We're not going to leave you here. We're not leaving you here. Let's go. Just like your nursing.
I'm gonna be here. Stuff. I'm gonna be here to pump you up. If ain't nobody here gonna be here to pump you up, I'm gonna be here to do it. I'm gonna be here to motivate you, inspire you, all that good stuff. Because at the end of the day, I know that there are so many people around you who don't want to do that, who don't want to see you be great, who don't want to see you be strong, really strong. I ain't talking about strong in where people can take advantage or people can, you don't have, boundary, you a strong Black woman.
Right.
I talk about that in my book. How can you be strong? How is that being a strong Black woman? No, a strong Black woman is you being confident in who you are, knowing who you are, what you love, what you like, what your boundaries are, what your beliefs are even, like we allow so many people to feed us so many things, and it's just like, we have to be strong in ourselves, like from the inside out. That's our strength. Healing yourself is your strength. Speaking up for yourself is your strength. Having boundaries for yourself is your strength. Being able to say, that's fine. You see me as an angry Black woman. Okay. That's your strength. Fuck a stereotype. Fuck what society has to say, because at the end of the day, society ain't never gonna walk a mile in Black women's shoes. And if they do, they ain't gonna be able to handle it. Right. I tell you that.
I'll tell you that.
So we have the power, and we don't realize how powerful we are. All these changes, I think I made a status not so long ago where I was talking about, what if what if we didn't really have strong Black women like Harriet Tubman?
Yeah.
Come on now. What would we be?
Right.
If we didn't really have strong Black women that said, fuck what you talking about. This is what I'm standing on. And this is how we gonna move. We wouldn't, the world, this entire nation, I'm gonna just say, we just gonna keep it to America. We wouldn't be as advanced and progressive. We wouldn't. Black women stand strong behind everybody and everything.
Yeah. I love it. So I want to know what it is that you want to be known for.
I want to be known for making people uncomfortable and creating change, because that's the only way you create change, making people uncomfortable, because people are so comfortable in what they're doing right now, so comfortable in, standing on, these stereotypes, the past, like we were talking about, the past, this is what we did, the past traditions and all that stuff. No, let's get a little uncomfortable. Let's talk about how this looks if we didn't do that.
Yeah. And I think that the idea of being uncomfortable, I feel like we've seen over the last couple of years, we're not going to talk about politics, but I feel like it's very it's prominent in politics, and how people feel about their politics, how people feel about certain things. And that this idea of I want to stay comfortable, so therefore I'm not going to listen, I'm not going to outreach, I'm not going to expose myself to different types of people or cultures or experiences, because I just want this. And it's become such a, I grew up in such a cultural place. I grew up in San Diego. And so there's people from all over, not just that travel, that live there, but that travel there from all over the world. So even walking around my city, I was hearing different languages. I was, there's different kinds of food everywhere. And then of course I got to travel, and it just boggles my mind that sometimes people were literally I've lived in this town my entire life. I've never left, but my way's the right way. And you're so comfortable. You're so comfortable that you think that
I literally just had an argument with my brother about this. It's so funny that you say that. I'm like, the worldview of, people have this small worldview, because a lot of you have not even stepped outside of your backyard, stepped foot outside of your backyard, and you so comfortable in standing on just being right in your way is your way or the highway. No.
We're also being uncomfortable in things like trauma or abuse. You're just so comfortable with being treated like crap, or not having confidence, or being disrespected, that the idea of stepping outside of that comfort zone is so scary that, you don't want to do it. And I can tell you right now, like confidence is one of those things that definitely takes work, especially for those of us who are adults and have had to kind of dig through these obligations and expectations and the way people treated us to really find what brings us joy or what makes us feel confident or smart or even things that what make us feel sexy or worthy or desire, those kinds of things. Like, you know, when you start to branch into asking yourself those questions and figuring out what those answers are, and then being able to implement a plan to bring more of that into your life, that shit is uncomfortable. It
It
is not
is.
rainbows and
It is.
sunshines and
It
all the
is.
time. I mean, there are times where it is that, but there's also the part where it's work, because
I was just
you're
gonna
a
say,
piece of work. You are a
mhm.
piece of work that is being developed
I
over
was just gonna
time.
say,
It's
and
a
you think
journey.
about this whole time, you know, for years, and people have to understand, and women, as especially, we have to understand, for so long you've been doing something one way, you know, and you had, like you said, it's, you haven't been hearing, you know, backlash or, you know, this and that. So if you know, you switch it up, it's gonna take work. It's gonna take a lot of work, and it's gonna take a lot of grace and compassion for yourself, because you're going to encounter people that are going to make you feel a certain way. It's inevitable. It's
Yes.
inevitable, you know.
Yep.
So you just have to give grace to yourself and say, you know,
Hold strong.
I was just going to say, I know this is happening right now, but this is not how it's going to be forever. You know, it's going to be, like you said, once you get to that other side, oh, it's going to be a beautiful thing. It's going to be so beautiful, but you just got to put in a little bit of the work.
Yeah.
And you got to give yourself some grace, compassion, and some patience. You know,
Yeah.
give
Oh,
yourself patience. It's
patience.
not going to happen overnight.
Mhm.
You're not going to automatically. I tell people at the end of my book, it says I'm still on my journey. I'm still on my journey. I still get
We'll
emotional.
always be on our journeys, and
Yeah,
I think that's a
always,
really
always.
important point to make, is that this
Mhm.
journey doesn't have an end.
It doesn't.
It's part of the walking and the talking, and the, just as much as you have your habits that eat away at your self-esteem right now, you can turn that around and implement habits that build your self-esteem. Start, like, literally right now. You could do it
Right.
right now if you
Right
choose
now.
to, right
Mhm.
now. And I will say this, it helps to have people on that journey to support you. So if you need me, y'all know you can find me online. I'm Vibrant Amber Rose. Y'all can go find AJ. She's online, and you will not be disappointed by her post. I absolutely want to recommend her book to you. It looks like it's available on Amazon, and it's called Allowed to Be Me, under A. Jefferson, the author.
Yes.
Go out, grab yourself a copy, read it. And, you know, one of the things I will end on this, reading books like this, I believe are really helpful. You had mentioned journaling a little earlier before, like how helpful journaling is to you. And I remember when I first started writing, I mean, when I was a kid, my mom used to give me books that had stories from real people. Like, one of the first books that I like devoured was Chicken Soup for the Kid's Soul,
Oh
or something like
yeah.
that. You know, so it's like, I highly encourage those of you who are going on your own journey of, you know, self-awareness, mindfulness, wanting to build your self-confidence, wanting to learn how to set boundaries. Read her story, and then as you're beginning to do this work that we've been talking about here in the last couple of minutes, know that writing it down, getting your feelings and emotions down on paper, getting your experiences down on paper, can actually turn into a work of art that you can share with others.
Yeah. And I actually have a journaling prompt at the end of my book.
Ooh,
Yeah.
perfect.
So definitely check it out, and
Yeah.
they can just jumpstart, you know, that I did that for that reason, what you say, you know, just to jumpstart you into getting, like, knowing how it feels to, you know, get that stuff out and write it down, because like you said, it definitely can turn into a work of art. This can be this, as you're pouring this
Turn your
out.
mess into your message.
Exactly. Mhm.
Well, we will definitely put a link to the book in the show notes below so you can check it out. AJ, thank you so much for coming and spending this time with me today. I've been admiring you from afar for a while. I'm super excited to see where our friendship and our working relationship goes. Any parting words you'd like to share?
I definitely thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. And I'm so glad you reached out to me. And it's crazy because like I said, I'm in a point of my journey where I'm finding my, you know, my power again.
Yes.
So this was really good for me too.
Yay.
I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you, this platform, and all the women who will be listening to this. I appreciate you too. And
yeah.
I am here, just like she said, I am here for you all. So feel free to follow me on social media. April, the new year, all social media. That's what I'm under. So looking forward to connecting with all of you. Hit me up. I'm a girl's girl. Look,
let this be a lesson to all you ladies out there to not be afraid to send a message when you have a genuine desire to connect with someone, to reach out, say, hey, I love it too. When genuinely connecting with somebody online, I'm like, we're gonna be friends.
Yes, I love it. Look, I connect with everybody. Look, I